All right, hello and welcome back, everyone. This is Scootsy16 with the Elite Discord Tournament. If you missed our first episode of the series, go back and check it out. You'll see a minor spoiler. I'm not going to draw your attention to it, but it was a really great game, very entertaining, and I think it would just really help to set the pace for and the tone for what we're going to be experiencing in this entire tournament. Now, today's game is going to feature the Arctics who were drafted by Merriweather 2. You'll find him on Reddit occasionally, and you'll see the Prowl drafted by J-Ho. So very excited to see what these two teams have to offer. We have some very unique experiences from both teams and their strategies for when they drafted their teams. So let's go ahead and jump right into this game. Again, we are watching every episode in the series, so you will not see anybody playing these games. We are only observing history here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Arctics. And when I set that suggested lineup, we're going to start with the number one draft pick for the Arctic is Oakley Reddier. You can see why he was drafted with that bad ball hitter trait, as well as mind gamer, supreme power and speed, decent contact, not the greatest fielder, doesn't have that much of a strong arm, but he's going to be playing in left for the Arctics today. Next, we see Hale Mostist, who was the number 3 pick in the draft for the Arctic, and he's going to be playing right field for the Arctics. Love that hair color. Really solid hitter all around. A bit slow on the slow side, and not the greatest of the fielders, but pretty solid arm. Has Ace Exterminator, and if you watched last episode, you know how important that is, especially during this tournament, the way it's structured with every player being great. So we'll see that really take his power and contact to the next level, and he gets contact versus left-handed pitchers along with that. Third in the order is Army Porter. Now, this was a bit of a steal for the Arctic, as he was drafted in the 11th round. I'm sorry, she was drafted in the 11th round and will be playing first base for the Arctics. Strong power, consistent across the board with contact, fielding, and arm, and slightly slower, but we don't really worry about that too much at first base. Moving forward, once again, we have Genevieve Peichel, who is a catcher who's going to be playing in the DH spot today. Genevieve was drafted in the 14th round, has a great off-speed hitter trait, but maxed out in that big hack trait, which actually comes into play during favorable pitcher counts. So when it's a 2-0, 3-0, or 3-1 count, you'll see that power get insanely boosted to maxed out and only lose 5 contact, which really, really great when you can max that out. So we'll see her hitting and doing nothing else but that during this game. Moving forward to the center fielder for today's game is Gianni Duffy. Gianni was drafted all the way down in the 17th round, getting the start today with that elite power, about average contact, above average speed, fielding, and arm. Has that mind gamer trait as well. So the pitcher for the Prowl is going to have their hands full during today's game. Moving down to the actual catcher for today's game is Tiana Witness, the 8th round pick for the Arctic, with some really solid power traits, very fast for a catcher, about average, maybe slightly below average fielding, and then a pretty solid arm. Has bad jumps, which means you're not going to see Tiana stealing many bases, but I don't think anybody was expecting that from her, even though that speed is a little bit more than we would have expected from a catcher. Third base today is Jamie Morris. Jamie is the 2nd round pick in this draft, has that off-speed hitter trait, and a little bit more of a jack of all trades, or a Jamie of all trades. Really great speed, great arm, decent fielding, and then above average contact and power, and that off-speed hitter trait is likely to boost that even more. In the 8th spot in this order is Luna Sandberg. Luna will be playing second base and was the... Let's see, where were you drafted, Luna? How am I not seeing you right now? There she is, 18th round pick. So a nice little steal for the Arctic with her. And great power, speed and fielding, has little hack, which offsets that low contact and the arm not as necessary at second base, and little hack, the opposite of big hack, comes into play during those unfavorable counts for the batter. So 0-1, 0-2, and 1-2 counts. You'll see that contact go through the roof and only a slight decrease to power, which really plays well for her attributes. And lastly, to round out the order, Snack Frederick. Shocked that he made it into this tournament. He got the call right before he was about to sit down for dinner with his family. He actually runs a foodie YouTube channel, so he wasn't really expecting to sit down or to be drafted into this tournament, but he's excited to be here. An amazing fielder, great arm, has really solid contact as well, power above average. The only thing lacking here for him is speed, and that he has no traits. So he was drafted in the 10th round, so really solid get for the Arctic there. And for them, pitching is going to be Kinsley Finley, who was the number 4 pick for the Arctic. She has pretty much maxed out velocity and accuracy at 95 and 98 respectively. 4-pitch pitcher, and she has that elite 4-seam fastball. So I don't know if we'll see a stronger or a faster pitch by anyone in this tournament other than Kinsley Finley with that maxed out 4-seam. However, you do see that 4 pitches, 3 of them are off speed with that low tier junk. So we'll see if that hurts her during this game. But that's the Arctic. That's what they're going to be looking like throughout today's game. Now let's go ahead and see what the Prowl are going to be countering the Arctic with. Starting with first baseman Jasper Reeves for the Prowl. Jasper was the number 1 pick for the Prowl, and as you can see why, he's all hitting. You really don't see many hitters like this, especially at first base, and he's going to be showing up really well. Unfortunately, he does have that choker trait, but it only comes in during those high pressure situations, and with how good his power, contact, and speed is, we shouldn't see that negatively impacting him too much anyways. Next, Devon Bailey. Devon is going to be playing center field, and he was looking through this, was actually the 21st pick in this draft, so the second to last pick, and he's going to be the number 2 hitter for the Prowl. He has really great fielding out there in center field, solid speed, contact, and power, has not much of an arm. He does have butter fingers, but that only comes into play when he's diving, jumping, or sliding for a ball, and he has a 25% chance that he might miss that. In addition to that, you also see he's got that sprinter, so out of the box, he's going to be taken off real quick because that's maxed out. Next, we see the third player in the order is Bolt Snow, left fielder, currently going to be DHing for this game, and he has bad ball hitter at tier 2, which is pretty solid. He's got really great contact, really good power, and a little bit slower, and we don't really care too much about the fielding and the arm. Bolt Snow was drafted in the 7th round for the Prowl. Moving on to the 4th spot is Jada McCarthy, who's going to be their catcher for today. Jada was kind of a player that a lot of managers were hoping were going to fall to them, and it only worked out for the Prowl. She was drafted in the 9th round, and as you can see, supreme catcher, extremely great fielding, really great arm, and then has that really good power and contact to be boosted by that first pitch slayer. So see how much she takes advantage of that, and if Finley is going to be avoiding that first pitch when Jada's up to the plate. Next is Elizabeth Nelson, who's going to be playing her secondary position at shortstop today. And as you can see, really great fielder, is not going to see that impact her too much. Has Mind Gamer, and then has really good hitting statistics despite the low arm and low speed. So we'll see if that arm hurts her playing shortstop. She was drafted in the 18th round during this for this tournament. Next is Francisco Henson. Francisco was the 8th pick in the draft, and really solid fielder, or really solid player to be finding in the 8th pick. Does have base jogger, which only affects him when he's running the bases, has Dive Wizard to boost that fielding trait even more. But speed, arm, power through the roof, really solid fielder in right field, and just slightly above average contact, which if you saw the last game we watched, that doesn't necessarily mean too much in this tournament. Next is Violet LeBlanc, who only plays second base, so that's why she's there. And Violet was a 14th round pick. Best attribute is absolutely her power. And she has really low contact, but you see Little Hack is going to come into play here as well. Seeing that boost to contact and a drop in power when she has not a non-favorable, which she has 2 strikes on her in any capacity. Lastly, you see she's got really solid fielding, low arm there up the middle for the entire defense for the Prowl, and she's pretty solid with speed. Going to Tyke Duarte in the 8th spot. All about speed, has some pretty solid contact. Power, fielding, and arm are just about average. Tyke was drafted in the 13th round for the Prowl, and he's in that 8th spot, hoping to kind of prop up the bottom of the order there. And lastly is Aaron Platoon, left fielder, is going to be all about the power. Gets a boost when facing right-handers when it comes to power, has below average contact and fielding, has a pretty solid speed, but we won't see him stealing any bases, and he's got a decent arm there in left field, which should hold up pretty well. And Aaron was drafted in actually the last pick in the draft, so it's interesting if you start to look through the team, you'll see that the starting lineup has a lot of the later rounds, but even then, they're still really solid players. The Prowl did prioritize their pitching staff when it came to this draft. And they're going to start with Rose Smile on the mound. Rose was the number 3 pick in the draft for the Prowl and their first pitcher taken. So Rose is solid velocity, solid junk, above average accuracy, 2 fastballs, 2 off-speed pitches, so she's going to be taking advantage of both of those. Solid pick officer as well, so we likely won't see the Arctic running the bases very often, and if they do, it's going to backfire on them, especially with McCarthy behind the plate. And lastly, you'll see that she has Surrounded, which does have a debuff to her when there are 2 runners or more on base. So she's hoping to keep the bases pretty clear for herself, and that pick officer trait really helps her out with that. So with that being said, time for us to get into the game. We are facing it. These teams are facing off at the Swagger Center, which is the home team or home stadium for the Prowl. So we'll see if they can use it to their advantage. This is going to be a very interesting game between these 2 teams. They have a little bit of history between the 2 of them, but I think this will be fun. And I think based off of last game we watched, we're in for a treat here. So starting off with Oakley Reddier, he's actually a psych major, so you're really not going to trick him too much with your pitch selection here, Rose, but we'll see what you can do. He's actually an amateur hypnotist, too, so I don't know if he's got any talents where he can kind of trick Rose into throwing one right down the middle, but we'll be keeping an eye out on that throughout today's game. Rose gets the ground out to Nelson, toss over to first, and you can see that arm was not that strong, but it was still in time to get Reddier at first base. And here comes Hale Mostis, and you can see Ace Exterminator maxed out really plays up in this tournament. And we saw a tier 2 yesterday during yesterday's game. This is tier 3. And unfortunately, he pops up, and Reeves is able to get to that one. The first baseman ranges back, catching that for out number 2. Here comes Army Porter. Army is a real fan of the advanced stats, but she's actually not as pleased with them as she is her own. She likes to create her own advanced stats when she's looking over the way that these games go. So I'm curious to hear what her feedback is after this game and how she did, as she just struck out there on 3 pitches. So Rose gets out of that first inning unscathed, and now is our first chance to see Kinsley Finley coming up. Again, all about the velocity and that accuracy. Facing Finley in the first spot is Jasper Reeves, who's already experiencing that choker trait, but only slightly. And he grounds out to Fredrickson, Frederick, who tosses it over to Porter for the first out. Now, fun fact about Kinsley, she actually was a child actor in her early days, and she actually discovered she could pitch by playing a pitcher in a television series. So, if you got a chance to watch that series when you were younger, definitely let us know in the comment section. But such a fun way to find out you have a talent. And she gets the strikeout there, so 2 down. And here comes Bolt Snow. Again, has that bad ball hitter trait, so Finley has to be very careful about where she's placing these pitches. And we have a 0-2 count already with 2 outs. And that ball goes right back up the middle, just past the glove of Finley and into center field. So we get the first hit of this game. Came from Bolt Snow. And we'll see if Bolt decides to do anything. He doesn't have the greatest speed in the world, but we'll see what ends up happening here. And you can see that maxed out first pitch slayer from Jada McCarthy, and she did not do anything with it. She took a first pitch strike, fouls that one off, takes ball, and that was a 106 mile an hour fastball, and then 103 to get her swinging and missing. So I keep an eye on the speeds when Finley's pitching, because I want to see if anyone catches a maxed out. I don't know what we can see. I think 110 is the fastest I've seen. I don't know if it was 109 or 110, but let me know if you catch that. So here comes Peichel. Going to be her first at bat of the game. She's now 1-1 count, and Peichel actually read Ted Williams' The Science of Hitting more than a dozen times, and that really has led to her ability to hit. And you can see it paid off for her here as she hits that one just over the second baseman. It's only a single, but that gets the Arctic on the board in the hitting department. And here comes Gianni Duffy. Gianni is actually the captain of the Italian national team, so he was excited to come over to the U.S. and be able to share some of his talents for the Arctic. He did ask the manager, "Are we playing in the Arctic? Because I don't know if I can handle that." Where he's from and what weather he's used to. But when he found out it wasn't actually in the Arctic, he was really excited to come on board. Unfortunately, Rose Smile gets him to swing through that one, and he's trying to represent all of Italy, and I think he's just feeling the pressure on his shoulders during this tournament so far. So we've 1 out, runner on, Tiana Witness comes up. Swings through the first pitch there. Now down 0-2 with 1 out. Takes ball 1 high. And Rose gets the strikeout on a ball low and inside, and Tiana Witness goes down. And Rose Smile has to be feeling pretty good about her start here so far. I mean, we've seen this go awry very quickly for other pitchers, so we're not going to count our runs until they score. But you can see that the ground out to second base was enough to get out of that inning. So this one so far has been a pitcher's duel between Finley and Rose. And we'll see how this continues to play out as we go. You see that Mind Gamer kicks in here for Finley, so that accuracy drops a little bit, but not significant with how good her accuracy is at base level. So this shouldn't impact her too much. And she gets the strikeout on a ball in the dirt, and they're able to toss it over to first easily for out number 1. So here comes Francisco Henson. Again, one of the early round draft picks there in the 8th round. And he's kind of a across-the-board solid hitter. And he gets a charge into that one, and the ball hangs up. Oh, and that bounces weirdly off of that little screen in the back. And that's a easy standing double, but I don't know if it's just because they're not familiar with this park. That tall wall can really throw off a fielder, but they're in right field. Who was that? Hal Mostes had a really tough time with that ball and right kind of jumped unnecessarily, and that ball lines right to Duffy, tosses it over to Frederick to hold the runner there at second base. So they got something cooking, and maybe that's the advantage of your home stadium being Swagger Center. You know where to put the ball in order to mess with those fielders. And the outfield walls are very unique in this park. Makes it really difficult as a defender to address it. And the ball, oh my goodness, and I'm all over the place right now, but Francisco Henson was able to steal third on that one, even on the arm of Witness. But unfortunately, it doesn't go anywhere as the next pitch is popped up for the final out of the inning. So the Prowl had a good opportunity there, but weren't able to make anything happen from it. And now we switch back over to the opposite side, and now Rose Smile comes back out, maybe feeling pretty confident, seeing that they were able to put something together against Finley. And here comes that little hack activated for Luna, and it stays activated here, almost maxing out her contact trait. And there's ball two, so that deactivates the little hack. And that's exactly what Rose was trying to go for, as she throws a 100-mile-an-hour pitch herself, just to try and show off to Finley that, hey, you're not the only one that can hit triple digits when you're pitching here. So here comes Snack. His first at-bat in the 9 spot for the Arctic, and he puts a charge into that one, and that's going to hit off the top of the wall. Platoon gets to it. He tosses it into second, and it's not going to be in time. Sliding into second base is Frederick with the double. Off the top of the wall there in left field, and Platoon had to get it in pretty quickly, which he did, but still a double with one out. And back to the top of the order are the Arctic, and this might be their opportunity to try and pounce, as Rose is feeling the effect of Mind Gamer here from Red Ear. And that ball almost hits him. Maybe this is the... Oh, as I'm just about to say, maybe that was the hypnotism. He swings at strike 3, so 2 outs, and here comes Hale Mostis, who did misplay that ball in right field, but he comes up and trying to redeem himself with that Ace Exterminator activated. Takes ball 2, so now 2-0 count. Is he gonna go for it here? He does swing at that pitch. 2-1. And he pops that one up. So with 2 outs after the 1 out double, they're not able to make anything happen. So we're getting some noise on the base paths, but both pitchers are able to stay composed and keep to their guns to make sure that these opposing offenses aren't getting into their heads. So Finley comes back up, and she is locked in at this point. So we'll see if that boost in her mojo helps. That's 105 on the gun, and she gets the pop up there. Army Porter camped under it, catches that one easily for out number 1. So here comes Jasper Reeves. Now the last time he was up, the pressure was a little bit higher. It's currently at tier 2, so it's not really affecting him at this point. See if that makes a difference for him during this at bat. And 3-0 right out of the gate for Finley. Gets the strike there with a 3-1 count. And just below the zone walks Jasper Reeves with 1 out. So she loses her mojo boost, and now she's back to neutral. And here comes Devon Bailey, the 21st round pick, seeing if he can make something happen against the elite pitcher for the Arctic. And Bailey puts a charge into that one. It's going to hit right in the corner there. Reddier gets to it quickly, tosses over to second base, not in time. And that's a double with 1 out, and now 2 runners on. Finley has to figure out something if she's going to try and keep the Prowl with a 0 in the runs column. Bolt Snow with the bad ball hitter activated. Did get a hit in his last at-bat, a base hit up the middle. We'll see if he does anything here. The pressure is getting higher, so you will see that choker is activated for Jasper there at third base. And Bolt Snow fighting through this one, 2-2 count, and he is frozen. Keeps the bat on his shoulder and takes that one right there in the middle of the plate for out number 2. So Jada McCarthy comes up, and if that ball is anywhere close to the zone, I know she's going for it. And she swings at that one, and she puts that one right past the second baseman, all the way to the wall. Duffy gets to it, and 2 runners scored as she slides into second base. And breaking open the game is Jada McCarthy with a pitch she can hit. And that first pitch Slayer activated, I knew she was going to pounce on it, and she absolutely does. So here comes Elizabeth Nelson trying to keep the pressure on. Finley is starting to feel the heat a little bit and gets that one snack. Frederick dives, tosses it over to first for out number 3. So great play by Frederick to kind of calm the nerves of Finley. But the damage was dealt by Jada McCarthy, who was able to take advantage of that first pitch and put it into the center field wall to score 2 runs. And Porter swings at the first pitch, grounds out to first for out number 1. Here comes Genevieve Peichel. Now she singled in the first inning, so 1 for 1 on the day. Using what she learned from Ted Williams, now goes 2 for 2 as she grounds that one through the hole between first and second, all the way into right field. So here comes Gianni Duffy, and did strike out in his first at-bat. He does have Mind Gamer activated. We'll see if he can kind of figure things out, as this is the second time he gets to see Smile, and he's down 0-2 already. And he swings through strike 3 for out number 2, and he's definitely feeling the pressure of this tournament on his shoulders, and representing Italy. He's trying to do more than he needs to. He just needs to be part of the team and step up and do what he's given. And that ball grounds to second, easy toss to first for out number 3. So even with the base hit, the Arctic still can't put anything together. And with a 2-0 lead, the Prowl are hoping that they can step in during this at-bat and try and put the pressure on even more, see if they can break this game open. First pitch swinging, right to Luna Sandberg for out number 1 at second base. And here comes Violet LeBlanc. 0 for 1 today. Did not do much so far. And she swings at her first pitch, and she pops it up right behind the plate. Camped under it is Witness, catching that for out number 2. So Tyke swings at this first pitch and gets out. That's a 3-pitch inning for Finley, which is exactly what she needs if she wants to try and settle herself. And he does swing, but it goes foul. Swings through strike 2 there, down and out of the zone. Takes ball 1, ball 2. You can see Finley still hitting triple digits here in the 4th inning after 55 pitches, but that ball gets just through past the second baseman into center field. Duffy gets it in, so that's a base hit with 2 outs to keep the inning alive for the Prowl. As they reach their 9-hitter, Aaron Platoon comes up. Has power versus right-handers, but doesn't get activated here. Actually will get activated as Werner Daniel comes in to replace Finley. And so now you do see that power versus right-handers activated. Werner was trying to find this information for us before this inning's over. Werner was the 5th pick in the draft as a relief pitcher. He was actually the first relief pitcher drafted by the Arctic. Really solid statistics, as he's got a fastball working for him, as well as a curveball and a changeup, and he gets that grounder right in front of the plate for out number 3. So he comes in to replace Finley, and he's able to take care of business. So hopefully the Arctic can find a way to tackle Rose Smile here and try and keep this game competitive. 2 innings left, 6 outs to try and figure out a way to score 2 runs. And they start off really well, getting a base hit. So Luna Sandberg comes up. Luna actually is moderately successful street artist. So when she's not playing baseball, she does like to draw in the streets, and she likes to do a lot of those different things that you'll see when you're walking around downtown. The pressure is very high at this point, so Luna's trying to capitalize on a pretty tired Rose Smile, and she's unable to do so as that ball flies out to right field for out number one. So Snack Frederick, who did get a double in the first inning, again took advantage of that really weird fencing in right field. We'll see if he can do something similar as he pulls that one, but just foul down the third baseline. Rose is locked in, so even though she's already up to over 60 pitches, it really isn't affecting her too much in her skills and her ability to get her pitches in the spots that she wants them in, and she induces that fly out to center field. So after a leadoff base hit, we wrap to the top of the order once again, and Oakley Reddier, who 0 for 2 today, he has mind gamer, but it seems like Rose has been playing the mind games with him as he struck out, and he grounds that one on the first pitch right to Reeves for out number 3. So the Arctic just can't get anything going. They've gotten 4 hits, but nothing to generate any run production. So Werner Daniel comes back in here. He being a regional darts champion, that really does reflect in his accuracy. He knows how to hit his spots, and it showed it when he came in to pitch in that last inning, and he's hoping to keep that accuracy right in the. He's trying to hit his targets and hitting the bullseye there, getting the strikeout for out number 1. Here comes Devin Bailey, who hit a double to get himself and his teammate into scoring position in his last at bat. So he's done his part as a Prowl for the Wolfpack. And unfortunately, he goes down pretty quickly in that one, striking out. So Werner Daniel is finding his spots, and he's really taking this Prowl offense to task right now. So here comes Bolt Snow. 1 for 2 with just a single today. See if he can use that bad ball hitter trait to his advantage, and he swings through strike 1. Fouls off, 2-2 count with 2 outs. And takes strike 3. He got frozen there, and Werner Daniel takes the lineup 1-2-3 in the 5th inning. So this is the last chance for the Arctics as they're heading into the top of the 6th with their 2-3-4 hitters. Hal Mostis first. He DJs in his spare time, and he loves watching film. So let's hope that he's able to figure things out against Rose Smile. And he swings at the first pitch, grounds out to first. Bugby came in to replace, coming in to replace Reeves, the defensive specialist coming in during the 6th inning. So that ball just bounces off, and we talked about this during the intro as Devon Bailey has Butterfingers. It only comes into play when he's sliding, diving, or jumping, and he slid for that one, and it bounced right off his glove. And that was Butterfingers coming into play. So this might be what changes things for the Arctics, as we got a runner on with 1 out. Genevieve Peichel coming up. Peichels 2 for 2 today. Let's see if she can keep that going, summoning her inner Ted Williams. She pops that one out. Is it going to get away from the pitcher or the batters? Or I'm sorry, the fielders, and it does. And she's got new life with a 2-2 count here. See if she can take advantage of it. She swings through that one for strike 3. And Gianni Duffy, we were talking about the pressure all game long, and he comes up in the most important part of this. Okay, so we have a pitching change, and we see a fielding or a runner switch there at first base. Gianni Duffy fouls right down the line there with 2 outs. Can he figure it out? He grounds out to Boyd to end the game. So the Prowl take care of business, and they were hunting all game, and they were able to find a way to take advantage of Kinsley Finley, and they put a few hits together, and that was the difference in this ball game. The Arctics 0 runs on 5 hits with no errors. The Prowl 2 runs on 5 hits and no errors. And honestly, I feel like that should have been an error on Devon Bailey in that last inning. It didn't impact them, but that ball was maybe you'd say it was a sliding catch. That's a little hard to do, but bounced right off of his glove. For the Arctics, we see the first two hitters in the order, which were their best hitters in this on the team, just did not produce, and you can't have that. Army Porter did get a hit, but did not make any difference there. Peichel, actually, the Porter hit was there in the sixth inning, so did get the rally started, but it ended very quickly. Peichel really stuck out as the only offensive weapon for the Arctics, and that makes sense when you know her history with her love of Ted Williams. Now you can see Duffy went 0 for 3, Witness went 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Morris got a base hit, Frederick got a base hit, but they were just not able to string anything together. And for the Prowl, very different story. Their leadoff hitter did not score, but he did, or I'm sorry, did not get a hit, but he did walk and eventually score a run. Bailey was able to find good wood on a ball and put it into left field for a double, putting both of him and Reeves in scoring position for Jada McCarthy, who swung at that first pitch, got both of those RBIs, and she may not be the player of the game, as the pitchers both did really well, but she deserves to be in that top three for sure. Henson and Duarte, the only ones in the back end of that lineup that were able to get a hit. So it was a really low offensive day for both teams, but the Prowls were able to figure out a way to make it work. So for the Arctic, Finley went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. She ends up getting the loss. Werner Daniel came in, valiant effort for him, 1 1/3 inning, 3 strikeouts, no hits, no walks, no earned runs at all. For the Prowl, Rose Smile came in and did exactly what they expected her to do. 5 2/3 innings, almost going the full complete game, only giving up 5 hits and 7 strikeouts. Just to be safe, they brought in Boyd in that last inning with 1 out left to get, and Boyd, their 17th round pick, came in and delivered, getting the out pretty quickly to get the save to end this game. So the Prowl really dominated up and down the lineup, and they show in the top 3 here as Rose Smile gets the number 1 spot in the player of the game, Jada McCarthy number 2, and Francisco Henson, who went 1 for 2 with a double and a stolen base in that 3 spot. So that was today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It very interesting so far. We've seen 2 games, one be a outright slobber knocker when it came to offense, the other one being a complete defensive and pitching duel all the way throughout. It really goes to show that this is going to be a very, very interesting tournament with so many great players on offense, on defense, and the pitching. This is really going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top in each game. As you see the preview for next game, the Dirt Dogs facing off against the Lockhorns, 2 really solid teams. We'll see how they end up faring against each other. But thank you so much for watching Game 2 of the tournament. Make sure that you're subscribed and you're following along, as we will be uploading these as often as I can, and we will be watching every game of this entire tournament. So make sure you're subscribed and you set the notifications so you don't miss any games in this tournament. But thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. We'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.